I work at the Wall Street Journal. I've been there for 2 years. I'm global head of visuals. Prior to that, I worked at the Knight Foundation. I've worked at the Associated Press. I started my career actually in technology, in a little startup in the mid-90s in Paris, and was a web developer and designer, and fell into journalism and was hired by the AP in 1999. I was an interactive news designer at that time, and I moved to New York in 2000. There were no Google Maps in the year 2000, and we had a very complicated election in the year 2000, as some of you might remember. It was the year of fuzzy math, of recounts, and they put this English girl to create these maps, and I had to label these maps with all the states of the all of these abbreviations. It was a disaster. Anyhow, I think that so many of the pressing issues that my colleagues here have brought up are the same that I would bring up. I'm not sure that there's one that stands out more than the other. I think they're all very interconnected. Whether it's audience, sustainability, trust, local news. So rather, I thought I'd like to talk about some of the trends and really interesting things I'm seeing in my particular universe that I think can contribute to solving some of these problems. So I'm going to talk about a few trends in visual journalism, and I'm going to start with the concept of interdisciplinary journalists. Slightly different to collaboration. I believe obviously in collaboration, that the world is too complex right now. We have one person can't know everything, and we have to really work together. But I also, certainly in my world, believe that journalists should be really great experts at more than one thing. And again, particularly in my world, I hire people who are really, really good at two things, and maybe they're amazing and they're really, really good at three things. And I'm not talking kind of good and kind of generalist, but really good. So for example, everyone on the team is a journalist, but I might have a really amazing cartographer. There's somebody on my team right now who has a degree in meteorology and mathematics, and she's an amazing journalist as well. Computer science, I suppose, is an obvious one. We're now offering courses at different journalism programs where you can get a dual degree. I'm even hiring computer scientists who are graduating, and they don't want to go work in tech. They want to work in journalism. And I want ONA as well, actually, to be that kind of environment where people from other industries want to come and learn from us and perhaps one day become journalists as well. I have a really great story, actually. There was a young man I found on Twitter, and I thought, wow, he looks really talented, and he was an intern at the San Francisco Chronicle. And I met with him. I wrote him a note on Twitter and said, hey, do you want to meet? We have all these great openings. And it turned out he was working in big data in Silicon Valley, and he decided he wanted to be a journalist. So he quit his job. His parents were probably absolutely beside themselves, and he got an internship at the San Francisco Chronicle. He then went on to get an internship at the Texas Tribune, and I actually met with him at ONA in Austin. That must have been last year, and now he's on board at the Wall Street Journal, and he's getting bylines, and he's becoming a journalist. So I really believe in people inviting others into journalism, but also being really mindful that it's not just a skill to have on the side, it really informs the journalism. You can't do the journalism without some of these skills. Data. Data has, obviously, we've been talking about data for so long. I want to talk about data visualization and sort of how that's evolved. Used to be that we talked very much about visualizations and charting and D3 and bubbles and all kinds of things. But what I'm really heartened by is seeing data visualization being adapted, and now we can do those stories without any charts. We're seeing people using animation and 3D models to actually build in all of the data into this story where there's nary a single chart involved. Algorithms, both for explaining stories, but also to do our own reporting. I think algorithmic accountability is incredibly important. Tao Center did a great paper on it. And
Finish up.
all right, one last thing. One thing I'm really excited about that you don't see a lot of in journalism is use of physical space. Obviously, the obvious idea that comes to mind is virtual reality and augmented reality. But I'm super excited by the physical space. You saw that stuff that the Weather Channel did, where like they used mixed reality and stuff was exploding in the room. I want to do more of that kind of stuff as well.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. Does this one work? Yes, it does. Okay. Shazna. Snozberry. Who has ever heard of a snozberry?
I don't know.
I like taking these lines that are very...
A snozberry?
Snozberry? Who's ever heard of a snozberry? It
sounds like Blackadder or something.
No, it's not Harry Potter. Really? Come on. Willy Wonka, snozberries.
Oh, it's
the
Willy
snozberries
Wonka.
taste like snoz. Okay. Anyways, that's.
I
all right.
thought you were going to give me Casablanca.
I know. I don't. What's the quote from Casablanca? Like, frankly, I don't give a damn.
There'll always be Paris is the line.
Oh, that would have been great. Okay. So funny enough, you actually talked a little bit about already what my question is going to point to, but you can expand on it some more. Because your title is Global Head of Visuals,
yeah.
Where you work with visual journalists, designers, engineers, and product experts. So the question that I had for you, which you kind of touched on, but maybe you can expand on it more, is what's your experience been working with such a diverse cross-section of individuals, and how has that enriched you? What mindset or skill set, et cetera, has your job given you that you can bring to ONA or to all of us right now?
So, well, I suppose collaboration is the biggest thing. Like, we can't do anything alone. Working with such a diverse team means, as a leader, as somebody who's managing resources as well, instilling the idea of agility, that we can't be siloed, that you can't think, this is the thing I do and I don't do anything else. To be able to move people around, to be able to pull together the best team possible to do the task at hand. To not back into ideas because it's the only thing, because we're basing it on the skills we have, but actually to come up with the best ideas possible and then figuring out who the team is. So that's been a wonderful benefit of having such a group like this.